Howdy folks, Bluesboyjag here, yet another 4-string cigar box guitar lesson. We're going to be doing the simple shuffle in the key of G. So this is the A string tuned down to G, a D string tuned normal to D, 3rd string G tuned normal to G, and a 2nd string tuned normal to B. There's your open G right there. First of all, the main thing we want to start out with is a steady down up rhythm. So I'm pretending like I have a pick, but I don't have a pick. As you may know, I don't use picks on the cigar box guitars. It just feels weird. I'm used to using a pick on a wider neck for a regular 6-string. So I'm using my nail, and I'm using the fatty part of my finger. So that's doing the up, and the down strum is my nail of my 1st finger. So this is what you're doing. Down, up, down, up, down, up. That's the way I do it. Some people pretend like they have a pick. I do this a lot. I don't like picks on using a pick on a 3-string because the neck is so skinny, it just feels weird. So I pretend like I have a pick. So I'm doing a down strum on the nail like this, and an up strum on the tip of my finger. Second finger, 2nd fret on the 3rd string. I'm using that 1st finger to fret that. All right, so you've heard this a million times, I'm sure. And don't forget to tap your foot. So my foot is going up and down with my hand. Why? Why do people tap their foot? It just keeps them in time. It keeps them steady on the beat so you don't speed up. At least it should. Some people like me, I tend to speed up. Anyway, make sure your foot and your hand are together. In other words, when my hand goes up, my foot goes up, and when my hand goes down, my foot goes down. So I'm using the nail of my 1st finger to get some brightness. You can also move your nail way back here. You may not be able to tell, but it's slightly brighter. As you move up here, it gets way more bassy. So you have some tonal options here. It's sort of like manipulating your tone control on your amp while you're playing. There you go. It's the bright one right there. All right, so you've heard that a trillion times. Now we go up to the 5th fret and we bar. And I'm going 2 frets up on this one on the 3rd string. So you can use your pinky or your 3rd finger. I recommend your 3rd finger because you want to stretch your fingers. Lots of times on the 3-string, especially, you're going to be stretching a lot. So I would say stretch as much as you can. In other words, if you can use your 3rd finger to press this one down, don't. use your pinky. And then later on, as you get better and better, you can do however you want. Up to the 7th fret, which would be the 3rd chord of the blues in the key of G. Now I'm going down to the 5th fret, and one little note here, when I was first starting to do this on a regular tuned guitar, I was like, how do you jump from here to there as you're strumming, right? How do you do that? You just do it. So real slow. Notice how I slid down pretty quick without taking the strings off the fretboard. So literally it's ba ba. It's an up on this one, and I'm sliding down real quick before the next downstroke. Now if you can also put a pause in there, or a click. I prefer not to do that, but hey, either way's fine. I prefer to hear that bottom. changing the chords right on the beat. Now's a good time to interject about picks. Jag, why do you not use picks? Well, I get more control over finger picking my melodies. And also the other thing is, you probably heard me talk about this before, the strum circle, what I call the strum circle, is very tiny on a cigar box guitar because I only have 4 strings on this one. If I had 3 strings, the strum circle would be even tinier. And it's really hard to do a tiny little strum. I mean, it's just hard to do a tiny strum. So, ba-da, like this is a much easier, maybe because I've been playing electric 6-string for 40-something years. So I like to have my strum circle like this because that's what I've been doing with a 6-string. And the 6 strings it's a wider strum circle because you got more strings. So here's your 6th string and here's your 1st string. On this one, it's here's your 4th string and here's your 1st. I mean, it's tiny. So that feels weird. But hey, whatever works for you is totally fine. All right, so we got the 1 chord, which is G. That's your shuffle. Now we're going to go up to the 4 chord, which is C. So this is G, A, B, C. Notice how I'm using my pinky to do the shuffle. A lot of people use your 3rd finger. That's fine too. My rule is, if you can make it easier every time. If you want to make it harder, that's cool too, because that will stretch you into new territory and allow you to learn new things. But the bottom line is, if you're playing a song and you want it to be perfect and you're a little bit worried about maybe hitting the wrong chord, make it easy. Play it easy, play it easy, play it easy. Play it kindergarten style. If that's the situation and you play a gig especially and you're like, this song is a little bit tricky to me sometimes, play it simple, don't try to be fancy. Then after a few days, weeks, months, or years, when you get a lot better, you can get fancy and you're not going to mess it up. So keep it simple when you start. So here's your 1 chord or the G shuffle. Now we're going to get fancy and walk up. So what did I do there, Jag? I'm literally walking up. So you go up from the 0 to the 2nd to the 3rd to the 4th to the 5th. So we're starting on the G chord here. Now I'm going to walk up. Now I'm at the 4 chord, which is C. Then we go back to the 1 chord, which is G. Now we're going to go to the 5 chord, which is D. And back to the 1. Or we might walk down from the 5 to the 4 to the 1. Which brings up another point. So if you're walking down, you're going to have to slam into that chord real quick, even though the song isn't that quick. And that's going to be tricky at first for some beginners. So when you get to that point, you want to just slide it down quick. And notice that's on the up. So I'm doing this, slow motion. So I'm literally shoving this hand down and doing an up strum at the same time. So notice how that first finger just goes zip, and then I do the up. So when I was learning how to do this on a 6-string years ago, I was like, how do you do that? How do you jump so quick from one to the other and make it sound totally smooth? You just have to practice and press down hard. And the more you play and the more you borrow that first finger, you will get some calluses on this finger. Don't worry about that. That's a good thing. That means that you're going to be able to press down hard and you're going to be able to slide and it's not going to be painful. So if you have a callus here, that's good news, and you should always have calluses. You should get to the point where when you're playing guitar and practicing, you never lose your callus, because when you lose your callus, A, your finger hurts, and B, your brain is telling yourself, okay, it's gonna hurt a little bit here. You don't want to be worrying about all that stuff, right? That's kind of like being a race car driver and worrying because, oh, I'm going 92 miles an hour. right? And that's how it works. You have to go 92. So you don't want to be worrying about it, right? You want to be sliding down there. So you'll be jumping around and you'll have calluses because you'll be sliding on your fingers. All right, so G shuffle. I'm going to do a walk up now. So I did that just a little bit ago. Kind of got off subject. So we're walking from 0 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. And I'm using my pinky. You can use your third finger if you like. My general rule is if there is a way to make it easier, do it. And in this case, that's your pinky, so you don't have to stretch as far. And some of you are saying, well, that's not a whole lot of difference, right? It's only one fret. Yep. Take every shortcut and every easy option available to you. I'm not one of those guys that says you have to be a hard ass and do it the hard way. Some people think I do it the hard way, but I'm actually doing it the easy way because, well, I won't get into it all. So we walk up. That brings us up to the 4 chord, which is C. Now we go back to the G. Now the 5 chord, 4, turnaround. So that's a typical turnaround. First finger's on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, going down to the 2nd, down to the 1st, and then 0. Then we go back up to the 5 chord, which is what in the key of G, students? D, exactly. There's your G chord, C chord, and your D. Now keep in mind, there's all sorts of ways to do these 3 chords. There are billions and trillions and gazillions of 3 chord songs, and they don't sound like a blues shuffle. So experiment with that. So here's a non-blues 3 chord, key of G. I'm going to start with the C. Different from a blues, but sort of kind of bluesy, right? And I'm choking with this hand just to show you what I'm doing. This is all really a lesson to show you there's lots of different ways to do your 3 chord blues or your 3 chord shuffle. So I'm choking this chord here. So one more thing I'll show you today. It's the choke. The bar chokes are easy because you're lifting your finger off the fretboard or the strings off the fretboard. What's hard to do is choke the open chord. So let's concentrate on that for a second. First finger is on 3-0 to 3-2. And I'm using my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers to choke. I do like that choke. I don't really like the open ba-da-dee-da-bum-ba-dee-da as much as I like the bump ba-deep da bump da beep da bump da beep da. I like to do that. That's just me though. Okay, so real slow on this one. This is your open G shuffle, and we'll be done here in a second. Notice how I do the chord change on the open G chord. So I go like this 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how I get to the next chord is I have the buffer of the open chord. So I don't have to skip a chord or skip a strum. Bottom. So when I'm choking here, I'm choking with the 2nd and 3rd fingers. But then when I do the shuffle, my 1st finger's going down on the 3rd string 2nd fret. So this chord, you have to have your first finger fretting, and then you choke with these fingers, one or all of them. You can do your second, third, or fourth, or all three. That's choking, right? So if you want it to be choked, which I love that, chugga-chugga kind of a feel. It's also your Keith Richards kind of deal, right? But we won't get into all that right now. So I'm choking all of them. So I know I threw a lot at you. For some of you, you may be totally already familiar with all that kind of thing there, but experiment with it, experiment with the choking, experiment with different keys. We'll get into that a little bit later. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my website, Bluesboyjag cigar box guitars, just like this one since 2004, now in my 20th year. And we'll see you next time.